Libra full moon tarot and astrology reading. I am Kelly Mountain. My business is Goddess Modern. I do these new and full moon readings every month. I really enjoy using the frameworks of Western astrology and tarot for learning more about and developing and refining human psychology and really like the path of the soul as it relates to oneself and one's life and relationships and even the relationship to life. So I have been using these frameworks for myself for over 20 years with astrology and for the last, I guess, 5 years with tarot. And yeah, I have found them to be immensely helpful frameworks of understanding and relating energy and experiences that in one way or another all of us humans here are cycling through over and over throughout our lifetimes. And so the way this stuff works is the details might be different from your actual personal story, but I would say focus less on details and more on patterns of experience. And if something resonates in this reading for you, I would say simply open to it as a reflective seed to invite inside of yourself and just spend a little bit of time each day tending to it through meditative and reflective exercises to tend to the seed and water it and allow it to grow and reveal to you in a way that's really significant and meaningful for you in your life right now as a form of guidance and support. So you'll know if the message resonates, you'll feel it inside yourself. You will feel your intuition and you'll know. And sometimes the way it works too is you can have that feeling of inner knowing even though the logical mind can't rationalize it. So I would say if you find yourself in that kind of moment with it, you don't need to force the clarity and the understanding. Just allow for the feeling to take root and again, just tend to it with some reflective exercises over time and just let it reveal. And simply just be in the unfolding mystery of it. I think that's about it. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in here. I already have cleansed the deck. I smudged the deck. I cleansed my space myself, lit a candle, set a prayer of intention for this reading. I shuffled and pulled all the cards already, so the stage is set and I'm gonna go ahead and dive in. I first want to talk about the astrology that's aspecting this Libra full moon. So I have some notes here on my computer to keep me on track. It's a pretty loaded full moon, and I want to go in this direction first and then we'll take it to the cards. Okay, well, so the first thing to note is for me in this is that this is the first Libra full moon that we're having after the completion of what's been a 1.5 year eclipse cycle previously. And it ended with the recent Aries new moon that we just had, March 29th. That was the ending, the completion of the last 1.5 year eclipse cycle on the Aries and Libra axis. And so this is the first full moon outside of that eclipse cycle that just closed that doesn't have an eclipse on it. And I think that's symbolically significant because it's like the Aries and Libra parts of ourselves, because we all have all 12 signs in our psychological makeup. Even if we don't have planets and points in the sign itself, each sign represents an aspect of ourselves and our lives. And so the parts that relate to the Aries and Libra parts of ourselves and our lives, and you'll know, like if you know what your rising sign is, you have a better chance of understanding where the Libra and Aries axis has been for you, is for you, and has gone through recently in the last year and a half with these eclipse cycles, a pretty significant transformation in ways that really clean the slate. And now here we are with this Libra full moon, and it's the first full moon in Libra, not without an eclipse on it. And it's, to me, it's interesting because it's this like kind of dichotomy of like, on one hand, it's almost like a rebirth of the Libra energy, but it's a full moon, so it's about completion. So, yeah, I think there's just, that's kind of right there, like, kind of for me, that's an interesting piece to just reflect on of like, at the same time, there's like this new beginning in this part of myself, this Libran part of myself, because it's the first Libra full moon without an eclipse on it, but it's a full moon. So within this new beginning, within this new Libra energy, there's also an ending and a completion. And the topic of endings and completions is generally significant at this time because we have collectively been going through what's been a really significant initiation between the Pisces and the Aries aspects of our charts. And one of the reasons why it's such a significant topic of endings and beginnings is because those are the two signs in the chart that, above all the other signs, are the most representative of endings and beginnings, endings with Pisces and new beginnings with Aries. So, yeah, it's a really big topic for just like all of us individually and certainly collectively. So, this is why I really enjoy myself reflecting on this stuff and sharing it with you in case you also enjoy just, reflecting on symbolic significance of cycles of time and how that expresses itself in the world around us. So this Libra full moon is exactly opposing the sun, and the sun is exactly conjuncting Chiron. Chiron is a small planet or an asteroid that represents the part of ourselves that it's a really powerful archetype. It's one of, oftentimes it's called the wounded healer. It's really one of healing and alchemy. It's wisdom and teaching. It's how we take the pain of our wounds and alchemize it into wisdom, and then how we embody it and then share it with others so that they can do the same. And, part of Chiron, part of that archetype is like, well, there's this wound there's this part of us that is kind of like, it's like eternally wounded or something. And, that can sound intense, but, I think a big part of the healing path in my own experience and in how I guide people is, a lot of times the key is simply in adjusting our relationship to our wounds, to being wounded, adjusting our relationship to challenges in life. It's like it's just part of the opportunity for growth, and it doesn't have to be like a value statement on who we are. It's just part of this human existence. It's part of what we're here to do. We're here to have these experiences and then choose to be in a process of alchemizing that pain into passion, into purpose, into pleasure, into a form of beneficial energy to help people with, to be the guiding light, to grow to a point of mastery and wisdom in order to be a guiding light for others on the path. And so while wounds come with pain, again, it's like, well, what's a relationship to pain? You know, one relationship to pain is I'm a victim. One relationship to pain is I'm a perpetrator. One relationship to pain is I see this as an opportunity. One relationship to pain is this is a part of myself that I can learn to love even more. Another relationship to pain is this is a part of somebody else that I can learn to love even more. Pain is a very powerful teacher, and so is challenge, and so are wounds. But the biggest power is actually received and given access to when the relationship actually empowers us in relationship to it. And the relationship is so important because when it empowers, that's when we are going to consciously work with the energy in order to alchemize it into something that's going to ultimately be used as creative fuel for something positive and beautiful. Anytime we have a relationship to the challenges in our life that perpetuate a story and over identification as a victim, we are losing power. And we will, in one way or another, it will drain us of our life force. And we know if it's draining us of our life force because it will make us feel exhausted, cranky, moody, anxious, depressed, bored, apathetic, you know, angry and frustrated. And, you know, I mean, some of these are like just like human emotions, and it's not about not feeling them, but it is about just noticing what we're giving our power to, right? And with all of these things, it's necessary. It's a very fine line of like, it's necessary to feel the feels. But at what point are we like kind of like crossing the line into overindulgence? And at what point does feeling the feels become a story that perpetuates some identity that actually drains us of our life force? So this is a super important topic of this time for all of us individually and collectively. We're in a big initiation with this topic right now, you guys, and so the sun, which is opposing the Libra full moon, the sun, our soul, the light of our awareness is going to be shining a light right on this wound, this chironic wound in Aries. And Aries is all about the self. I am, I exist. And so it's this wound that is going to be revealed is likely to be in these kinds of topics of who I am, I exist, and, you know, so just use that as a reflective tool if any of, you know, if you find yourself feeling triggered. Okay, that's a whole thing in itself. Oh my gosh, this is already about 15 minutes in. Okay, moving on. Looking at my notes. Okay, so this full moon is also in a loose square with Mars in Cancer, and Mars is the ruler of the temple of Aries, where the sun and Chiron and Neptune now reside. So Mars is over in Cancer, and it's in a loose square to the full moon, forming a T-square. So that's an aspect of tension. Okay, and so again, what's your relationship to tension? What's your relationship to challenges? What's your relationship to breakdowns? Well, a positive relationship to a breakdown is understanding that everything must break down in order for new energy to take root and to thrive. So breakdowns are a part of life. And I know sometimes they feel really hard because they happen in ways that are unexpected or ways that we don't want. But oftentimes when we have this kind of experience, and then say like 5 years goes by, we look back on that experience and we think, thank goodness that happened, because I couldn't have become who I am today if I stayed on that track. Because ultimately, as much as I maybe felt comfortable with that track and identified with that track, and was invested into it, it wasn't right for me. And it wasn't going to allow me to be the full expression of who I'm here to be and to do what I'm here to do. And that is my purpose. And that had to break down in order for me to get here. So this is the kind of energy that the T-square of this full moon lines us up for. The breakthrough. My suggestion is, if you feel yourself in this cosmic trigger crunch, my suggestion is to focus your attention into Capricornian themes, because so we've got this T-square on the cardinal signs of Libra, Aries, and Cancer. And so Capricorn is the fourth leg that would create a grand square, and so, or a grand cross, same thing. And so I would say, if you feel the tension, if you're feeling the cosmic squeeze, a good way to channel your energy is into Capricornian themes of your life. Where can you cultivate, embody, master, exemplify, and apply greater maturity, responsibility, integrity, accountability, more wisdom? Where can you really bring that into your life? So is it like, anything, does anything in your, material world need this attention right now? Does anything in your financial world, or your wellness and your daily health and routines world, anything in your relationships, anything in your goals, your pursuits, your long-range dreams? It's like, where in your life are you feeling could use more of this energy? And wherever that is, just do that. If you feel triggered with this energy and you're like, I don't know what to do with this, this is big, it's uncomfortable, it's complicated, I would say, definitely pull out all your tools of self-care and take care of yourself. And you're gonna be most benefited, and you're gonna get into a good alignment with the high sides of this energy if you focus it into these aspects of your life, to really shoring up the foundation and doing the nitty-gritty, step-by-step, day-by-day, moment-to-moment goals and needs in order to support your long-term plans, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay, moving on. Okay, so the reflective questions are: what is ready to be seen, completed, healed, and released regarding a wound I have between myself and others? How can I use this process to grow my emotional maturity and self-control in ways that prioritize connection and right relationship to my feminine energy, Mars and Cancer? How can I best channel this energy into something productive that strengthens my discipline and foundation? Okay, moving on. Okay, during this full moon, we also have, it's a loose opposition between Mars in Cancer and Pluto in Aquarius. It's not, they're gonna be exact, I believe it's around April 18th. So we're growing into this energy right now, and I'm gonna just bring it in because the energy's already starting to filter in. So we've got like the Mars in Cancer opposing the energies of Pluto in Aquarius. The reflective question here is: how do I honor my human experience and the big feelings I'm going through at this time, while also being mature, responsible, and wise with how I express them? And again, prioritizing connection. So we've got Mars in Cancer right now, and Cancer is, the temple of the moon. And so Mars has to obey by the rules of the moon. And the moon is all about feminine energy and nurturing. It's emotional safety and security and stability and comfort. It's feminine energy, it's healing, creativity, it's intuition. So you know, we have, it's like this big energy that's going to be experienced, but we've got these kind of like these kind of lunar rules to abide by within them. And that's important because these are big energies that, like, the nature of them wants to be more explosive and volatile. But this is kind of like, listen guys, we're ready to engage with our process of greater emotional maturity. Like, we're ready, and it's needed, especially for not only what we're all moving through at this day and age, this crazy time, but what's stacked up ahead of us. Like, it's quite significant, and it's going to require a lot of emotional maturity in order for us to learn, how do we prioritize connection during times when feelings are really big, and just there's a tendency to just want to blow up, you know, and express. But it's like, I think part of the collective learning is we have a whole human history, a whole written history, thousands of years of that being the mode of action. And it's part of what perpetuates, you know, the reasoning of why we're living in the world we're living in today, right? It's just like, you know, there's a time and a place and a purpose for explosive, reactive, expression and actions, but maybe that's not like, maybe we put that to like last case scenario, and maybe we start exploring other ideas of how to temper these parts of ourselves with more feminine wisdom in ways that prioritize connection. And it's hard, right? Because it's like, here we are living, like, part of what's hard is we're doing it in this current of energy where there's so much polarization and, like, you know, dividing, where it's like, well, how do we do it in the context of so much division? And division is the word of Mars. And so we're on this initiation. How do we prioritize connection within so much division? It's one of the big tricks of this time, you guys. So helpful things to reflect on. Okay. Another reflective question for this Mars, this loose relationship between Mars opposing Pluto. What needs to be revealed or transformed to create space for greater authenticity and empowerment that might support my role as a leader? Because that's where Mars is going into next, into Leo, and Leo's all about being the leader. All right, I need to just take a quick sip of water here. Okay. So to finish off the astrology portion of this reading, so we've also got the ruler of this Libra full moon, which is Venus, over in Pisces. And so Venus is said to be exalted in Pisces. Venus loves being in Pisces because Pisces, like, the high side of Pisces is like divinely inspired connection to spirit and unity and creativity and healing and the connection within all things. So these are all like very strong Venusian topics that in Pisces, the energy of Pisces just like expands it into all areas of life, just like limitless divine healing and spiritual connection and like spirit inspired creativity. And so Venus loves being in Pisces. So the ruler of this full moon, this Libra full moon, is over in Pisces right now and is conjunct Saturn, and is also at the same time sextiling Uranus in Taurus. Also in Pisces, we've still got so like I said, Venus, which is retrograde still currently until the full moon on Libra this Saturday on April 12th. Full moon in Libra is also the day that Venus stations direct It's been Venus has been retrograde since March 1st, so it's also a significant day for that reason. Anyhow, in Pisces, we've got Venus retrograde, Mercury, which just turned direct, Saturn, North Node, Neptune, and they're all in the last degrees of Pisces. And with the exception of the North Node, all of them are soon, and then later this, like midpoint this year, moving into Aries. So again, we've got, going back to the topics of endings and beginnings, we've got all this energy at the end degrees of Pisces, which is like ultimate endings, like big endings, completions are happening at this time and moving into Aries, and in ways that we've literally never seen before. Like nobody alive on this planet today has ever lived through these energies, you guys. There's cycles of time beginning right now that none of us alive has ever lived through, and we won't be here when they complete either. So it's this beautiful kind of reminder that, you know, sometimes we live this life and we can know that all the efforts that we put towards being the best version of ourselves and you know, doing our best to make the world a better place, some of which we won't live to fully see the full results of, you know. But we are here to contribute in that movement and in that cycle, so that those that come after us will be the benefactors or the perpetuators of the energies that we're laying down at this time. It's really truly an honor, you guys, to be alive at this time of all these new cycles. I mean, we've got so many huge new cycles happening in the planetary sky this year and next year. Again, in ways that, yeah, it's just, it's, to me, it's quite an honor that we all get to be here and participate. And my hope is that through this information, it helps you to understand how to more consciously work with the currents of energy that we're moving through, so that you can really participate in bringing the best version of yourself forward, and, you know, participating in and contributing with your very best energy to create outcomes that are in the direction of just like, you know, just a greater expression of the human spirit, of humanity, the potential of humanity, like what we're really capable of, which to my knowledge has not yet been ever expressed in any of the, you know, recorded history over time. I think, you know, perhaps there are periods of time before recorded history where humanity lived in a more exalted state, but who knows? Anyhow, that's the direction things are moving into, and I know that it's hard, might be hard to believe for some people out there because there's just so much chaos going on, but sometimes you have to. And this is why astrology is so helpful, because when you map the cycles of time and you just see the way time and currents of energy move through and express, you know, similar to how, like, one of the benefits of astrology on a personal level, it kind of reminds me, like, or the benefits of doing like plant medicine ceremonies or psychedelics in a intentional way, is that there's just a very common experience of seeing things from a different angle that makes things less personal against oneself, you know, conflicts with others, like challenges in family or relationships, experiences that didn't work out. There's this way that the psychedelic experience can help us like reframe and see, oh my gosh, this story that I've had for all this time, maybe decades, around this experience with this person being something personally against me, it was never that at all. And now I see it in this whole way, and oh my gosh, I can have so much compassion and understanding and unconditional love and acceptance for this person and forgiveness for this person, because it was just this thing that was theirs. And there's like this perspective shift. And similarly, like when I laid over like the collective, what's happening in the collective, tracking events through astrology is helpful because you're just connected to a bigger timeline. And so it benefits because you can like back up and see a bigger timeline and not get so squished into just this like one point on the timeline that feels like so big, and is big and significant. And at the same time, when you're just so focused on one point, you lose perspective of like what all led into this and the potential that it's leading towards. Anyways, understandable to have that zoomed in scope, but it needs to be balanced with the bigger, the wider scope as well. And astrology is one thing that has been significantly supportive for me to do that with, and I hope for you too in this moment. Okay, I'm gonna just get into the tarot reading from here because, no, I'm gonna finish the initiation of Pisces. I'm gonna wrap that up really quick. High side and low side expressions of Pisces, okay? Because like I said, we've been in this huge initiation with Pisces, with all these planets that have been moving through Pisces in the last few months. So, okay. High sides of Pisces is, like I was saying earlier, unity consciousness, divine creativity and wisdom, healing, collective healing, spiritual healing, energetic healing, emotional healing. It's intuition, it's feminine energy, it's creativity. It's beautiful music and pieces of art and film, and it's just a deeply beautiful, serene, inspiring energy. The low sides of Pisces, victimization, over identifying as a victim, overly perpetuating stories of victim and perpetrator, deception, delusion, Pisces, the deception and delusion piece. You can think you know what's what, but sometimes you're not seeing. Sometimes it's really just fog, or sometimes it's an illusion. Being too scattered and the energy of Pisces is like boundless, like freedom, like no borders. But where that's beautiful, the opposite end of that spectrum is like it scatters the energy because there's no boundary. It just goes all over, so there's no containment. But mainly the over identifying as a victim and delusion and deception are really strong qualities of the low sides of Pisces. Okay, so with all of that said, I'm gonna go ahead and switch gears and get now into the tarot aspect of this reading. Okay, so first card up is Synchronicity. Meet Lexi. She passed into our world through the divine nexus of a series of unlikely events. She arrives at the precise moment when she is needed most. As if answering a silent prayer, she appears with a perfect and sweet antidote to our fears and struggles. You will not know when she is coming, but when she arrives, your heart will open, the air will sparkle, and your world will awaken anew with life. Coincidence? Maybe. A beautiful mystery? Certainly. Watch for her paw prints as they glimmer and meander through your life. So what this card really speaks to me in terms of the astrology, and I only mentioned it in the astrology that I just gave you, is that during this full moon, Venus, the ruler of the full moon, is conjunct Saturn and sextile Uranus. This has sextile Uranus energy all over it. Uranus is currently in the sign of Taurus. So everything that I just said in this card is very strongly reflecting the presence of Uranus. And I think that's a great energy to open this reading with, because there are some intense energies with this full moon in Libra coming up on Saturday, April 12th. And so I would suggest to, along with what I said of like channel challenging energy into ways of being productive. And if you can, just energetically open yourself to the energy of synchronicity and miracles. And just allow that energy to come in and bring you some surprise blessings of some kind. I just love that it's opening up with this energy, because a sextile to Uranus and Taurus is a really positive, supportive, beneficial energy. Okay, so in the deck that I call in messages from the collective ancestors of humanity, wow, I mean, one of the most beneficial spreads, we've got the Empress, and then under the deck is the Sun. So we've got the Empress and the Sun. The Empress is saying to me, this is a reflection of, for all of us to lean into more of the process of refining our feminine energy. We all have feminine energy, regardless of what bodies we're in, regardless of how we identify. We all have feminine energy, and the Empress energy with this Libra full moon is really ready to lead and take root. And she's got the energy of the Sun as the wind in the sails, guiding her way. And the Sun is the Sun. It's the giant power source of our world, of our galaxy, of our not galaxy, of our solar system. And it's you know, it's the only reason, it's one of the only reasons why we're all here. Without it, we wouldn't be here. So it's a source of vitality, and it's also a source of joy and creativity and happiness. So I would say, in whatever way you can connect more to your feminine energy, do things that really develop this aspect of yourself. And the Empress, to take it in a little bit further in detail, the Empress, she's the embodiment of all four elemental archetypes. Elemental archetypes being earth, air, fire, and water. Earth for our relationships to values and our resources and this material world. Air is our quality of perception, thinking, and communication of all kinds. Water is our emotions, and fire is like our and emotions and intuition. And then fire is like passion, action, masculine energy, purpose, expression. And the Empress, she becomes the Empress. The path of the Empress is blood, sweat, and tears that creates mastery over all of these elemental aspects of herself. So I would say a good reflection for all of us at this time is to take an honest, humble assessment of our relationship to our earth, air, fire, and water elements within us and in our lives, and see where we can bring even more mastery, maturity, and wisdom to these parts of ourselves. And while at the same time, just like opening to, even if we haven't like fully accomplished certain aspects of ourselves, just opening to the energy of the Empress within us. And what is the embodiment that we would want to be an example of this mastery? You know, is it power over others, or is it power with others, right? And how do we want to exemplify that into the world? Need to take another sip here, guys, one sec. So message from the ancestors is a big emphatic, you're on the right track, you're blessed, you're protected, you're guided, you have what you need. Keep going on your path of mastery. And especially in regards to feminine energy. All right, more to say, but I'm going to keep going on this reading because it's already 40 minutes in. Okay. With the deck that I pull messages from, the collective humanities, guides, angels, guides, angels, allies. So again, these messages, they might fit for you personally, they might fit for somebody you know, but they also can be applied on a collective level. So the first card that came out when I was shuffling is the Knight of Cups, and it came out sideways like this. And I really pay attention, like every single little detail for me is a symbolic representation of something, and it came out sideways. So if this is you, if you're the Knight of Cups coming out sideways, I would say it sounds like there's something that it's almost like you want to offer this like new beginning in emotional fulfillment in some way. You want to make an offer, but you're not quite sure. You're not sure. And it came out with the Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles is about taking an assessment of the investment that you've made so far. And you're kind of at a fork in the road. You're at this place of, am I gonna keep working on this? I'm not sure, you know, is it worth it? Are there other things I could be doing, and so, I would say, because these energies came out together, it sounds like there's just a natural kind of moment of pause to just maybe give yourself some more time to reflect on whether or not you want to extend whatever this offer is into this direction that you've already been on, but you're like for some reason unsure. What I will say is that the next card in the Pentacles suit is the Eight of Pentacles, which is all about really focusing, committing to developing your craft, to developing whatever it is that you're here to master, specifically in a way that's gonna assure material stability and security. And so sometimes this Seven of Pentacles energy comes up in life when we naturally come to a point on the path where we, whether it be with like relationship or career or a project of some kind, there's just natural points on the path with anything that has like longevity where you're like, okay, I need to pause and reassess. I need to reevaluate, basically, is this working for me? Is this what I want? So that's just a natural part of the journey. But when in the times where we're like, okay, I've done the assessment, I do want to keep moving forward. That next step is diving just like, head down, like, blinders on, and just like go full force focus into whatever the thing is that you're recommitting to, and bring it to a path of mastery. And it will likely be in ways that produce material security and sustainability. Or this could be, the Knight of Cups sideways, could be somebody having that process towards you and they're not sure. So, I guess in that case, I would say if there's anybody that you're waiting to hear from about something, about like next steps, and if they seem like they're being kind of sluggish with getting back, I would say, just let them, maybe just give them more grace, more time to be in their process and figure it out. And maybe what you could do to help along is, do an honest assessment for your end as well, and see if they were to continue on with you, why would it benefit them? Why would it benefit you both, and perhaps there's a communication you can have with that person to share that, something along the lines of like, hey, and I just wanted to let you know that on my end, I see that if we did move forward in this, this is how I feel we would both really benefit, and this is why I would be excited. Sometimes people respond well to that. It's nice for them to know how things are happening on the other side. Underneath the deck, we did get the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, which is funny because I was just saying, like, the Eight of Pentacles is the next in line to the Seven of Pentacles, to this energy of this like reassessment and am I going to move forward? And under the deck, we get this Eight of Pentacles reverse. And so that's under the deck. It's like, I read this as like what's affecting things from like behind the scenes, like, or like more energetically or in the subconscious, and the Eight of Pentacles reverse. So yeah, I think the message that's coming through right now is really make sure that if whatever this is that could potentially be moved forward on, whether it's coming from you or someone else in relationship to you, really make sure that it opens channels for this Eight of Pentacles upright energy. Like, this is a necessary part of the path that we all have to go through in order to create our sense of security and stability and mastery and authority in our lives, and sense of independence and empowerment in the material realm. So, it would be this is just kind of, to me, the fact that it came out reverse is just a greater reminder of like, really make sure. And if you're not sure, again, echoing the sentiment of the sideways Knight of Cups, if you're not sure, and if you have the luxury of giving yourself more time, like if you don't have to figure it all out right now, if you don't have to, if you could buy yourself a few days, to just like think about it, sleep on it, maybe ask the counsel of a trusted advisor, then do that for yourself. All right, moving on. So I use this other deck to call in messages from the soul path of humanity. So again, this can either be for like you, someone you know, or the collective humanity. So when I was shuffling, I got the Knight of Wands in reverse and the Six of Cups. And so Knight of Wands reverse, Six of Cups. This to me would say, move slow when it comes to a connection of significance, especially if it's a connection of nostalgic significance for you. Move slow. We are still in a Venus retrograde until this Saturday. It stations direct, and we're gonna be in the shadow till about mid-May. So for new relationships, it's really not the ideal time to establish new relationships. I would say, just like if there's somebody new and feels potentially significant in your life, it's a great time to just take it slow and get to know each other. Don't rush into anything right now with that connection. Super, super important. And I also, from this deck, I was shuffling and I got the Empress in reverse, and I got the Queen of Swords in reverse, and at the bottom of the deck was a Temperance reverse. So, it's interesting because the ancestors message that came out was the Empress as well at the very beginning. And now the soul path is saying Empress in reverse. And so I almost feel like from the ancestors, there's this message of like, you've got this. And then from our soul, the messages from like, just like the journey of our soul is like, kind of wondering if, do I really have this? Do I, or do we really have this? If it's like, connected to yourself, or do we, the collective, really have this? And so, I think, and with the Queen of Swords reverse as well, I think this is a good message to reflect upon what these archetypes represent in us, and what is our definition of them? How do we currently embody them? How do we strive to embody them? How can we be in better relationship to them? So like with the Empress, the better relationship, the energy to like bring this card into the upright position and into alignment is going to be, again, mastery over the elemental archetypes of oneself. So we have earth, air, fire, water. Earth being our relationship to values and resources, and air being the quality of perception and thinking and communication. Water being our emotional intelligence and maturity, and also our intuition. Fire being, our creative expression, passion and purpose. And so like really mastering these parts of ourselves. And the journey of the Empress, of becoming the Empress, the journey of becoming the Empress, it's a long journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen from taking a course for 3 months. It's a journey of many cycles and many mistakes and many new beginnings. And but the Empress, one of the things that she symbolizes is stability and abundance. And so I would really say that because it came up in the reverse position, I would say, just really take a look at your life and all aspects of your life, and like where could use more stability and abundance. And like I said at the beginning with the astrology, use the energy, if there's any like surplus of energy or emotional triggers or challenges that come up, use it as a creative fuel and channel it into something productive into your life and create more stability and security in your life. I would say with this Empress reverse energy, another thing coming up to like get it into its upright aligned position is really take care of your feminine energy. And so whatever that means for you, so that could be like really take great care of your body, move, eat the best, healthiest foods, consume the best medicines, you deserve it. Be really good to your finances. Don't live beyond your means, conserve. Express yourself creatively, be generous, within means that, prioritize your needs first. Being, embodying grace and wisdom and diplomacy. So these are some ways to get in better alignment with that energy. We got, again, the Queen of Swords reverse. And so this would say, to me, maybe if you were to pick one thing out of all that that I just shared about the Empress in reverse, maybe the biggest topic right now would be focusing on the Queen of Swords archetypes, which in the healthy upright position is going to be perceiving and thinking in ways that inspire communications that are open, kind, gentle, and receptive, while at the same time being clear and defined and well boundaried. Queen of Swords reverse, as it came out, a really kind of like a way that can express that like drains the life force of everybody involved is through gossip, through using perception and thinking and speaking in ways that create gossip about others. So, sometimes people speak gossip because they think that they're justified. But it just really comes down to like, what are you in service to? Queen of Swords reverse, to me, a good reflection is, what are you in service to? And how does your perception and your thinking and your speaking line up with that? How does it support healthy boundaries? How does it support being able to speak in ways that, yes, can be clear and well defined, but can also be receptive and soft and gentle and diplomatic? You know, how to be well boundaried without making someone wrong. That would be a message that sticks out there. And then the last, and to wrap this up, gosh, this has been a long reading, the Temperance in reverse at the bottom of the deck. So, you know, basically, how can you be in better service to a sense of balance and healing? How can you be in greater service to a sense of balance and healing? So I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope that this has been insightful and supportive to your journey at this time. Thank you so very much for being here with me, and especially if you made it all the way through. Thank you so much. And if you're interested in getting a reading from me, the information is in the description box, and you'll find more about me on the description box as well. And I'm currently offering readings 30 minutes for $40 if you want to check that out. I wish you all a blessed and beautiful Libra full moon ahead. Thank you.